Hello, Planet Watchers. How are you guys? Hope everybody's doing okay. A lot of work around here, as usual. Most of the work is in the background, behind the scenes, so you don't see tangible results until the work is completed. And I'll give you an example in a second. So, first things first, I want to confirm something that we announced last week, namely that the freeze and clawback features on planets have been disabled, which means something quite important in principle. It means that you are in full, total control of your planets in your wallet. It also means that if anything happens, if any bad actor can grab planets from your wallet for whatever reason, we cannot do anything about it. Because, again, we don't control in any way, we have no power to retrieve or freeze assets as we had it until yesterday, I believe, because we were still completing some security tests. So now this has been disabled. First thing. Second thing, which is also very important, and we need to discuss it. As everybody knows, there are some ongoing technical issues regarding the performance of the aware element Type 4 sensors on our network. We've been talking to aware. At the same time, we've been performing a number of tests and technical tests on our own infrastructure. Now, the technical guys are telling me that they see a way forward which is quite promising, but they need more testing. And apparently, this phase of testing will be over by the end of the first week of February. And then we will make a decision about how to move in order to sort out all these issues. In the meantime, it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep growing the Type 4 network at a very high pace, as has been happening in the last few weeks. So we made a decision that as of January 27, we will pause selling Type 4 licenses. So if you really need a Type 4 license because you already have a Type 4 device and you want to connect it to the network, you should buy it between today and January 27th. Because as of January 27th, 6 p.m. CET, we will no longer sell Type 4 licenses until further notice. Until further notice means most likely until the end of the testing phase that I was mentioning above. So again, those who have already a device but don't have the license yet have the time to get the license. For those who don't have at the moment a Type 4 license nor a device, the recommendation is to wait, not to buy them now, because until we sort out all technical issues, it doesn't make sense to grow the network. Okay, I hope everything is clear, and we believe this is fair and transparent as usual. So, and this thing about pausing the sales of Type 4 licenses next week, it's also part of a plan to grow our network in a more balanced way. So what do I mean by this? Let me share my screen to show you what I'm talking about. So here is our PlanetWatch Explorer, and you can see the total number of sensors in the network, which is over 43,000 by now. And you can also notice that out of this 43,000, over 37,000, so a very large fraction, are Type 4 sensors. Type 2 is very reduced for obvious reasons because we haven't been selling Type 2 devices for a long time now. Type 3 and Type 1 are growing, but in numerical terms, they are a small fraction of the network. Now, so far, PlanetWatch has been growing in a very explosive manner and in an unmanaged way, namely, whoever wanted to join PlanetWatch and choose between available sensors, we let him in and we let him choose. Now, I believe we should move into a slightly different operational mode. So far we've been riding the wave. When you ride a wave, well, you cannot steer the direction, you don't control anything on a surf. If you have a windsurf, then you have a sail, and you can try to navigate across the wave and choose your direction. Since we know where we want to go in terms of business and scientific goals, we know the kind of network we need And we believe it's in the best interest of PlanetWatch to grow the sensor network across different types in a more balanced manner. So at some point we might fix the number of licenses available for a certain type over a certain time period. So for example, and just making it up, we might decide that next month we want to sell 500 type 2 licenses and no more than that, because we want to see how the network evolves. This is just a fictitious number. There's no decision about it, okay? But generally speaking, we have a goal. We want to create a network which is most relevant for this goal. So no dramatic changes, but for the time being, for example, we feel it's not in the interest of PlanetWatch to grow too fast on type 4 until the other types catch up, let's say. So that explains my statement, right? Okay. So we'll issue a tweet to confirm this decision about type 4 license sales being posted next week, and you will have all the info you need about it. Okay, now we have as usual a number of questions, but before moving into questions, let me say one more thing about rewards and tokens and all these things. I've been saying several times that this is not a mining scheme. Why do I keep saying that? Because in what's called a mining scheme, usually you have some sort of a more or less guaranteed performance, in the sense that if you have a piece of hardware which can run an algorithm that mines, for example, Bitcoin, by and large, you know for sure what will be the outcome of the mining exercise. PlanetWatch is something radically different. We have a goal, which is to create a data set of data which must be scientifically relevant. And the process of creating the data can be affected by several factors. Some of them depend on PlanetWatch, some of them are beyond PlanetWatch control, like for example, power faults on your side or more. But because of the complexity of the process, we cannot stipulate a guaranteed amount of rewards, because rewards depend on the streams, and streams can depend on many factors. So if you read the white paper carefully, the white paper talks about maximum daily rewards. This is by no means a guaranteed level of rewards. I keep saying this, although in my mind it should be obvious at this point, because some people keep saying, hey, I signed for 2304 planets. No, you didn't sign for that. It doesn't work that way. It's not a deterministic algorithmic process. It's a complex process with many variables. So performance can vary over time, but that's the rule of the game. Okay, so you decide whether you want to get involved, because that's the way it works, and there is a common goal in terms of delivering relevant data. The process of delivering the data is a complex one, and there are some uncertainties. All right, now let me move to your questions. Okay, the first question is about the statements I made about one of our new Type 2 devices coming soon, being able to connect to the Helium network. Now, once again, there is more than one device that we are working upon, trying to deliver as soon as possible. One of them uses Helium network connectivity. So it will be able to send data streams via the Helium network. This does not generate Helium tokens, because the token generating mechanism in the Helium network is something different, as most of you know. So this is a first step in a partnership with Helium, but it's not what you would call a mining opportunity, right? This has nothing to do with a Helium token as such at this level, okay? Then there are lots of things we can do in the future, and we are discussing scenarios, but that's the situation concerning the devices I was talking about. Another question that's again a recurrent question: are sensors available in my country? And I'm just taking this question as a way to restate something that we said several times. Compatibility and compliance of different sensors in different countries is essentially manufacturer's thing. So if we stated that some sensor is not available in the United Arab Emirates, for example, it is most likely because the manufacturer told us that they cannot deliver to that country, or they are not approved to work in that country. So unfortunately, the default answer here is, in case of doubt, you can refer to the manufacturer directly. Okay, there are questions about packages that get lost. You know, whenever we sell devices, we try to do our best to ship worldwide. We use couriers, of course, and once again, it's a complex process with many uncertainties. Now, the first thing for you to know is that packages are insured. So if a package goes missing, there is a procedure to follow. The loss is reported to the courier. They have to carry out checks, and if they don't find it, they would refund us. We can send another one, and so on. But sometimes it takes time for the courier to state that the package has been lost, because sometimes they found it again. So unfortunately, it's a bit of a lengthy process in some cases when packages get lost. But if a package gets lost, you get a replacement, that's for sure. But sometimes it's not going to be fast. So shipping of Type 1 for Q4 2021 batch. I announced that we have been shipping everything. Now, what happens is that the couriers that we work with have informed us that due to holiday period and limitations because of COVID, some shipments are being delayed. So again, I believe on our side we have done all that we needed to do. And in some cases, packages are being delayed for global pandemic-related reasons, unfortunately. And also the holiday period is just over in Europe, so that also affected probably the timeliness of deliveries. But again, everything is going to be shipped. We shipped it in the sense that we gave it to couriers, and then they have to do their job, which these days is not easy. Okay, again, talking about shipping and stuff being damaged. So, of course, whenever we ship a parcel and you receive it with some damage at delivery, we will take charge of it. We will replace the sensor. Having said that, please do remember that you're not authorized to open the device and tamper with it, because that would, of course, void the warranty. And some people are curious, let's say, so they do that, but it's not a good idea, and that would void our warranty. So, could you explain how the recycled bin works? Good question. It's in the white paper, but I think it's worth an additional explanation. So before getting into the details, I'd like to start with a very simple example. So suppose you have a family, you are a daddy, and you have a $10 budget per day to buy ice creams to your kids. You have $10 per day. And it so happens that currently you have 3 kids. So you go out with your kids, you buy 1 ice cream per kid. They shouldn't need more than 1, so there is a max limit of 1 ice cream per day per kid. So you spend $3 and you still have $7 left from your budget. Now, this $7 from your budget that you have not spent, you set them aside in a place that you call the recycle bin. Okay? So you keep going every day. You spend $3 per day to buy ice creams. You set aside $7 and so on until the number of kids in your family increases. At some point it will increase dramatically, right? So you attain the number of 10 kids in your family. So when you go out with your kids to buy ice creams, you have a $10 budget per day, you have 10 kids, you want to buy 1 ice cream per kid per day. So you have come to the point where the money you have in your budget is just about right to buy ice creams to all your kids. This is what we call the saturation point in the white paper, when the reward budget is just about right to cover max rewards for all the sensors in the network. But let's go back to the family example. You have a $10 budget, you had 10 kids, so everything was fine. The year after that, you have twins, you have 12 kids now. But you still have a $10 budget per day. So now you go out, you have 12 kids, you have a $10 budget. However, you had set aside some money for rainy days in what we call the recycle bin. So in order to make your kids happy, you take $10 from your normal budget, plus you remove $2 from the recycle bin, the savings account, so that you can put $12 into 12 ice creams, and every kid is getting his max ice cream reward, which is one per day. So as long as you have money left in the recycle bin, you can make your 12 kids happy because you spend 10 days from the ordinary budget, from your salary, plus you take 2 from the savings account, the recycle bin. So as long as you have money left in the recycle bin, every kid is getting one full ice cream. Unfortunately, a day will come when you have no longer any funds in your recycle bin, which was your saving account. So you tell your kids, hey guys, I have $10, you are 12, so some of you have to share ice creams in some way. And that means that you are past what we call the saturation point. So you have to share a fixed reward budget and make thinner slice of your pie, if you see what I mean. So that's the example. The recycle bin, the PlanetWatch recycle bins work according to this principle. It is an account where you have put aside funds from the budget, from the daily reward budget, which were not spent because there were a few sensors in the network. Each sensor had a max daily reward, so there were leftover funds which you put in the recycle bin. Along the way the sensor network grows, you have more sensors, you come to a point where the daily reward budget is not enough to cover max daily rewards for everybody. You start taking funds from the recycle bin, and at some point the recycle bin will be empty. Now, to get into more detail for PlanetWatch, let me share my screen and show you again the PlanetWatch Explorer. And from the Explorer, you can see this information here about the recycle bin. So this information shows you that you have a total of 336.72 million planets across all the recycle bins. Incidentally, in PlanetWatch, you don't have just one recycle bin, but in fact you have 6, because type 1 sensors based in tier 1 pixels have their own recycle bin, as well as type 1 sensors in tier 2 pixels. And type 2 sensors in tier 1 have their own, type 2 sensors in tier 2 pixels have their own, and it's 4 already. Type 3 and type 4 sensors, they are not related to any pixel structure, so you just need one bin per type, one bin for type 3 and one bin for type 4. So all in all, you have 6 independent, separate recycle bin, which work according to the principle I just described in my example. Now, what's important to understand the details of this is the small, tiny green figure that you see close to the main number. Now, as you can see, 5 out of our 6 bins have a small green figure coming up. The small green figure means that for that type of sensor and that tier, we are still have some excess funds left over from the daily reward budget that we are putting into the recycle bin. So the balance of the recycle bin is growing when this figure is green. We are putting extra funds in the recycle bin. The recycle bin is getting bigger. This is different from what you see for the type 4 recycle bin. Because in the case of the type 4 recycle bin, the figure is red. Now it doesn't look red for some technical reasons. Now it's red again, I guess. So the red figure here means that for type 4 sensors, we are using funds in the recycle bin to top up the daily rewards, which in turn is a consequence of the fact that we have a very large number of sensors, of type 4 sensors, which is written up here as 37,000 plus, which is well beyond the saturation point for type 4. So the type 4 daddy has far too many kids to be able to pay an ice cream for each of them unless he uses recycled bin funds. That's exactly the situation we are in. So the logic of it is fairly simple, and I hope it's more clear now than previously. You can even open ticket if you want some extra explanations, but I trust this explanation is sufficient for you guys. If not, let us know. So let me just move to the next question. Any updates regarding new exchanges or staking? Now, again, we are working a lot on this area. We are filling lots of application forms because the process, I said this several times, but just for a reminder, getting listed on a major exchange is a major endeavor. First of all, it's usually quite expensive, but it's not just expensive in terms of money. Before being considered for listing, you need to pass a number of tests, have good liquidity for your token, and blah, blah, blah. Our liquidity is growing well. Our token is performing well. However, we are still a young token. So we are preparing the ground to hit tier 1 exchanges. And we are talking to them. We have some good partners who are helping open up these communication channels. But as soon as there will be some relevant updates, I will give it to you. But I don't like to say I'm hoping to do this and hoping to do that unless we are close to signing contracts. Okay. As for staking, once again, we have decided not to engage in any financial staking scheme. We have Stake for the Planet coming up, and the rewards would not be additional planets. It would be the possibility to plant trees and possibly something else which you will like. But again, it needs still a bit of work. How can a non-profit organization access PlanetWatch air quality data? Get in touch. As you know, we are a for-profit company, so we cannot give everything for free to everybody. However, we are quite interested in collaborating with non-profits, with academic institutions, and we can surely find terms to do it with relevant organizations. So the best way to answer this question is to say, let them get in touch with us. Now, okay, that's also a very, very typical question. Have you heard of XYZ? Would you consider partnership with them? Again, the question, the answer, my answer is a general one. In some cases, we haven't heard about organizations, so your messages are useful. Sometimes we get ideas, we get interesting leads from you guys. So thank you for asking. At the same time, once you ask, we review we review every opportunity and we assess it, but we won't rush into anything. So we consider partnership with anything that makes sense with respect to our goals and missions, and but we don't disclose partnerships until they are done. So we'll be looking into this as well as we are looking into many other opportunities. So, okay, so that's more or less what I wanted to disclose today. So there are lots of, once again, the message is that there are lots of things in the making in terms of sorting technical issues, developing partnerships, and developing the network and the business as such. We tend not to disclose things when it's too early. On the sensor side, which is a very crucial aspect, is we are working a lot to assess new products, new manufacturers, setting our own standards and making sure that they can comply with our own standards in terms of performance and security. And we'll keep you posted. The project, if you ask me, is progressing very, very well. It's progressing so well that we need, as I said, to start steering the project in a more proactive way. Because if we just let things happen, a lot happens. It looks great, it's a lot of traction, but we need to steer it in the direction which is PlanetWatch direction. So we cannot give everything to everybody, although in principle, yeah, most people would say, hey, they want to buy, why don't you sell? We're not going to sell anything to anybody, especially in a time where hardware resources are scarce, unless we have first assessed that we are all aligned on the same goals and the same mission. So we keep growing, we're growing very fast. We want to go in the right direction, which is what is stated in the white paper. So once again, thank you for your attention. Apologies for postponing this AMA, but yeah, I have lots of commitments. Sometimes, to be honest, I'm wondering whether it makes sense to have a weekly AMA. You guys seem to like it, and I'm very happy about it. It's very time consuming, and well, I think it's worth it. But sometimes AMAs will be not as exciting as the previous one, because we cannot give you huge news every week. The news today is that things are moving ahead very well. We are making progress on the challenges, including the technical ones, and we want to grow in a more orderly manner, because we believe it's in everybody's interest. Thank you, and keep watching the planet.